Welcome to the Raleigh Hills Comprehensive Distance Learning Information Night. My name is Mr. Kohler. I teach science, both for 7th and 8th grade. And we are going to go through an agenda here tonight that will hopefully give you some more information about how this is all supposed to work. And we're excited about having a new year with you. And a couple of things. If you have a question about anything, we'll ask you to wait to the end because we might answer it as we go. And at the end, if you do have a question, there's a way to raise your hand. And we're teaching you this because we're going to expect the students to be able to do this in our class as well. So there's a button on the bottom on the panel where there's the control panel for Zoom where it says participants. And if you click on that, you'll be able to see these buttons here. And if you click on the More button, you will see a raise hand option. And that will give us an indicator that you have raised your hand and you'd like to speak. And when we get to that point at the end, we will open up for question and answers if there's anything we haven't answered yet. We took the questions from the form that we sent and we have answered those. So we'll go through those first. And then we will take any others if we need. So for our agenda, we're going to meet your teachers. So we'll just do a little quick introduction of each of us. Then we will go over the schedule for middle school, all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Then we'll talk about the first week of school and what to expect that first week. We'll talk about what we expect for Zoom meetings and those expectations and things that we'd like students to follow there. Then we'll go through weekly and daily communication, how you might be able to get information about how your student is doing in class and what things are due and what is assigned and all those nuts and bolts there. And then we'll talk about attendance and what that means in this comprehensive distance learning environment. We'll talk about these buzzwords of synchronous versus asynchronous learning. And then we will do some question and answers at the end. So with that, I would like to have, we'll start off with Ms. Reed, she will introduce herself here now.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Reed. I've taught in Beaverton for about 15 years. Most of those years were teaching 5th grade. And at most of the years I was at Shoals Heights Elementary. But I've been in many other schools doing other roles. And this is my first year at Raleigh Hills, and I'm excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Colleen Kellogg. I'm 6th grade math and science teacher. This is my 4th year at Raleigh Hills. I love teaching at the small school. It's a great community, both with family, students, and then the teachers. We're real close and we work together very, very well. Looking forward to the school year. As unconventional as our start is, I think we're going to make the best of it and have a lot of fun together.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Battison. I'm the 7th grade humanities teacher. I'm super excited to get to teach these incoming 7th graders. I've known them since they were in 4th grade, so I've seen them in the halls. So I'm super excited to finally get to be their teacher. Like Ms. Kellogg said, today's going to be a year of many question marks, but I think it's going to be a great opportunity to do some great learning. And I'm very excited for this. We got a great team. We've been working really hard this past week and a half, and even before that, to just see what we can do to have the best possible start to the year.
Hi, I am Ashkan Aljibouri. I will be the 8th, 7th, and 8th grade math teacher in Raleigh Hills K-8. And this is the first year to be on this community, a small community. I'm so glad to be a part of this community. And this is my 12th year to teach secondary school. I'm so excited to start a new year with some fun in math.
My name is Mr. Kohler. I teach the 7th and 8th grade science class, and this is my 4th year as well at Raleigh Hills. Before that, I taught 11 years at Stoller, and looking forward to continuing from last year and meeting the new 7th graders this year and continuing with the 8th graders that we had last year as 7th graders. So That's the thing I appreciate about Raleigh Hills is to be able to loop up with the students.
All right. Last but not least, Mr. Lee here, 8th grade humanities. This is my 4th year at Raleigh Hills and 12th year within Beaverton School District. I hope that you guys are all safe out there, all things considered, and your families and extended families are doing well this evening. Looking forward to starting things off with this new 8th grade group. It's a big year for all of us, and I'm looking forward to the challenges and the connections and the sense of community that we will be fostering throughout the year as we make our way towards high school. So those are the introductions. We're going to start now looking at our middle school schedule. As you can see, there's a 6th grade and 7th and 8th grade schedule to your left and right. These are examples of a potential student schedule. For 6th grade, 6th graders are going to start first period with one of their core teachers, either Miss Kellogg or Miss Reed. Then they will have a transition to specials, which is going to be either with Mr. Libinati or PE. They're going to switch between those 2 days, between band and PE. And then a transition back to their core subject at 10 o'clock. For 7th and 8th grade students, as you can see on the right-hand side, 7th and 8th graders are going to start with their specials class. And then they start their first core class, second period, which starts at 9 o'clock. And then the kids will progress through the day via the schedule. Lunch is 11 to 12 for all middle school students. So that's a time to reset, relax, and regroup for the afternoon. We understand that, even in a virtual setting, that students are going to need some time between classes. And so we're going to honor that as they transition, as we become more situated with comprehensive distance learning and figuring out where we need to be each and every day. But there will definitely be some grace period between classes. At the end of the day, you notice that 6th period, there's going to be time for SEL work with our students. So building on their socio-emotional well-being, creating a sense of community. And it's a time for teachers to connect with students to make sure that all their needs are being met and things that we could do to help them be successful during distance learning. SEL opportunities are going to be with the teacher and or Miss Mushkat. Mondays are going to be 6th grade, Tuesdays will be 7th grade, and then Thursdays will be 8th grade. Teachers during 6th grade will also be reviewing attendance and making communications with parents and students. What you don't see on this slide is Wednesdays. And Wednesdays is a asynchronous day, and you'll learn a little bit more about what that means later on in this presentation. On Wednesdays, students will launch their day with their advisory teacher at, I believe, 8:30 to 9:30. Advisory is a time where you can review any tasks that are going to be expected of them that day. It's also a time for teachers and students to build community through whole class activities like circle and games. And that's going to be a 1-hour stretch of time before we release them to their asynchronous work that day on Wednesday. So they will be attending a Zoom on Wednesday from 8:30 until 9:30, but after that, they will be on their own working on things independently. Yeah, that's our schedule as we have it. It's pretty streamlined. We've been working hard towards this, and we feel like it's the best representation of what CDL will look like at Raleigh Hills.
One thing to mention about the schedules, these is an example of one specific student schedule. So not every student will follow PE, humanities, math, lunch, humanities, science. but you will find out what your schedule is if you look on parent view or student view, and you'll find your schedule and you'll see the order of your classes there.
Okay, so for the first week of school, we're asking that all students attend all of their classes. We're going to be taking a lot of time to get to know each other, and typically in that first week of school, there's a lot of community building, team building that goes on, setting up class norms and so forth. We will continue doing that via the distance learning, but we want to make sure we are connecting with everybody and still building those communities in our classrooms. We're going to be practicing the different digital tools, and we're giving them activities every day for the first actually few weeks of school to practice different skills that they will need to be successful in the fall. So they'll have a specific activity that we've prepared ahead of time for them to do. But there's going to be a lot of training and practice with the students to ease any fears they might have initially that they don't know what they're doing, and get them ready and give them the practice that they need.
All right, so communication. So there's a lot of text on this slide, I apologize. So the biggest question probably for a parent is gonna be, okay, what assignments, what's happened this week? What's my student supposed to do this week? So what all teachers are gonna be doing is that on Canvas, we're gonna be using the calendar diligently. So if you wanna know what's happening each day, each week for any subject, you want to go there, and on the first day of the week, most likely Monday, we're going to post a very brief summary of the highlights of the week, the biggest assignments and their due dates, and kind of give you a glance of like what's really happening this week. And then for each day, there's going to be an agenda where if the parent clicks there, you'll be able to find out what specifically is happening there. You'll get links to the resources for assignments, and also that's also the links for classes and the recorded videos of that lesson if the student didn't make it that day. So that's where like the vast majority of communications can come to. What we want to avoid is sending 3 different emails from 3 different teachers to the parents so that they get overwhelmed with all the information. So if there's something you need to know, you'll be able to get this information in the calendar. And it's also that we want to, give students the opportunity to take some ownership of their learning so they know what's really going to be happening. And we're going to be practicing this a lot, so they'll become experts on this. So general communication will go through Canvas. This is accessible for you parents as well. You'll be able to see all this information. Of course, we will still be communicating maybe with individual families or students through phone calls or emails. But in order to know what's happening in school, this is where you'll find all of your information.
Okay, so let's talk about Zoom expectations. So being in Zoom is just like being in a normal classroom, and there is a classroom rules and etiquette while using Zoom. So if you look at this picture, this is the general expectation for every classroom that the students will attend, and maybe there will be additional specific rules for each student in each Zoom meeting. They will provide students while they meet them in each class. Okay, so this is our virtual classroom, and appropriate classroom behavior is expected, and logging into your meeting from a distraction-free, quiet environment. And we ask always our students to keep their audio on mute until they want to speak. This will help to limit background noise, and if they want or would like to speak or answer a question, then they can use the raise hand feature. There are some features on there. We will just train them in the first week how to use all these features, and then unmute themselves after they are called on. So that prevents us from talking over each other. And if they would like to use the chat box, they remember that it is a public, and a record of their chat is kept, and everything will be recorded. So I just recommend all kids to have a paper and a pen or pencil handy to take some notes while they are in the Zoom meeting, and make sure that their video is on so we can see their nice faces. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about, that Zoom is a privilege that may be revoked if any of these expectations are not followed. So please take a look on these lectures, try to be on time. Maybe they can log in a few minutes before the class to make sure they are in a good connection. And yeah, if there is anything that we can add, we can just provide it during our meeting.
Okay, attendance. So this is different from the spring where teachers weren't taking attendance and weren't recording scores or grades. During CDL, we will be taking daily attendance. And there's two ways for a positive or for attendance to be noted by the teacher. Either if a student is present during the Zoom class, we will mark them as present for that class for that day. The other alternative is that, say, a student can't attend the synchronous class for a variety of reasons, but they participate in the asynchronous work that was assigned for that day. The next 24 hours, so let me back up. So at the end of that, let's say we're taking attendance for Monday. At 4 o'clock on Monday, we will record our attendance for the day for people who attended the Zoom meetings. The following day, so Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we will check, the teachers, meaning we will check to see who did the work but maybe didn't attend the live class for Monday. And if a student falls into that category, we can go back and change their attendance to positive, to having been in class because they completed the work. The trick is that parents shouldn't assume because the students aren't marked absent that means they've done the work, because they can attend the Zoom class but maybe didn't turn in the assignment. But because they were in the class, we marked them as present. So it can be a little tricky. So do not use the student's attendance as a marker as to whether or not they got their work done. However, teachers can use that within a 24-hour period to change attendance records.
Okay, so these two words, synchronous and asynchronous, have been used a lot since spring. And synchronous just means that students are working live in a class setting where the teacher is providing information, instruction, whole group instruction, or small group work with breakouts. During this, when we showed the schedule, each class has about 60 minutes worth of time to it. During that 60 minutes, that might mean that a teacher will do about 15 minutes of instruction and review from the previous day, and then get going into the day's activity. So depends on the teacher and how they do it with their Zoom. They might say, okay, I'm done with my 15 minutes of instruction. Now you have the rest of the time to work on the assignment, and you can leave the Zoom to do that. Or the teacher might ask them to stay in the Zoom to work on their assignment so they can easily interact with the teacher if they have any questions during that time. Another way of doing that would be the teacher would send the students back into the waiting room and then pick kids out of the waiting room to get into a group to talk about something in a small group. So that's all synchronous time, and that's if you are able to meet at that time, which we are very much hoping you are. But we understand that, you know, if your parents are working or you have a job and you need to go, as parents need to go drop your kid off to another place every day at 10 because you have to be somewhere, so you're taking them to grandma and grandpa's house to do the rest of their schooling. They're going to miss that 10 o'clock class every day. That might happen, and that's okay. So that's where this asynchronous time comes in, where students will then watch the recorded instruction that we make. and then they will complete their work on their own time. So it's a little flexible still here. Of course, we'd love to see every student live in the Zoom because it just, we can interact better that way. But there is still this asynchronous aspect where we wouldn't necessarily be live together. And students can be counted present, like Ms. Kellogg said, if they are participating in either one of these things. And we just go back and look to see which one they had participated in to mark their attendance. So there's a lot of technology that we've been given. We used to use Google, a lot of us use Google Classroom, and that got shut down by the district. So now we are all working on Canvas, which is good for parents, I think, because everything is there on Canvas. And if you want to know what your student's doing in all of their classes, you can just go to their Canvas calendar. And if you don't know how to navigate Canvas, that's okay. We have this link, these links, and the family toolkit, which you've probably seen emails about. But each one of these is a little 4-minute video about how to navigate through some of these things. So how to navigate Canvas in general, how to navigate the calendar and the dashboard that's in Canvas, how to get notifications about things and scores of student work, and if they've submitted things or not, scores and feedback, communication with teachers through Canvas, and then there's like a Canvas webinar, which is like all that stuff in a big 40-50 minute video. And then a Dreambox webinar, which will be, Dreambox is a big tool used in math. And so how to use that. We also put this 5 tips you may have seen in some of the emails sent from the district, 5 tips for at-home learning and creating an at-home workspace. It's really essential to have a place where they're actually going to be productive. And like last year, we were kind of in triage mode. We were trying to figure out what to do and how we were going to do it. And I know that a lot of students were just in bed still doing work or not doing work. So what we're hoping here is that students get a place to work like it's actual school, because it matters now. The attendance matters and the work matters. And so being in a setting where they're ready to go and do the work will keep them ready to go and successful. So that is our slideshow. We have some questions and answers that we were asked and in this document. So I'm just going to click on the document, and you'll have access to this document as well, but I think we'll just kind of go through them real quick. And then if there are any more questions at the end of this, then we'll take those. But the schedule questions were answered. If you want to see what that looks like more specifically, you can click on this slide, and we'll send this link out to you after the meeting here. So the video that the district sent, you can ignore that because it doesn't really fit our setting. So look at that schedule. Wednesdays, again, as Mr. Lee talked about what Wednesdays will be like. Wednesdays are in the morning, we have a get going with our advisory, but then after that, they are asynchronous days. So they will be days where kids will not be in live Zoom meetings, except for after that first like half hour. But they will have assignments that they will be posted on Canvas for them to work on. Canvas is kind of tricky. On the teacher end, we have to publish our courses. So if you don't see your students' courses yet, you will on Monday or as soon as we publish them from our end. And we're still working on things in the background, so we're not ready to quite publish those yet. If you have an elementary school kid, they're going to be using Seesaw, so they will not use Canvas at Raleigh Hills anyways. Zoom links will be given to you in Canvas on Monday. So on Monday, you need to look at your schedule on student view or parent view. So log into that, look at your schedule, and that's the class order you will go in. Then you will go to your Canvas calendar and click on your first class Canvas assignment. or first class Canvas agenda, and the Zoom link for your class will be there. And then your second period class, you will look at your schedule, and then you'll go to that link and that Zoom link, and so on. If you are in 7th grade, you start with, or no, if you're with 7th and 8th grade, you start with your electives or special classes. So same way you'll access them there. How is CDL different this year? Does anybody else want to take that?
Well,
Or should I just keep going?
no, you're doing great. You're doing great. You know, I feel like all of us just had the rug pulled out from underneath us in March. We weren't supported, we weren't prepared. It was just kind of triage and just learning new things as we were, you know, building the ship as we're trying to sail it. It was tough. It was tough for teachers, tough for kids, tough on families. And all of us have spent time over the summer, and then the past 2 weeks have been intensive trainings. I think each of us have attended 3 or if not more trainings per day, specifically addressing how to manage the digital platforms, Canvas, as well as delivering our content. So the district invested a lot of time. We personally have invested a lot of time so that we are offering a very different program than what we were able to do in the moment last spring.
Yeah, we feel a little more prepared.
Yeah.
And will there be clear instructions on assignments and when they are due? If you go to Canvas and use the calendar feature, that's exactly where that is. It's a lot less, it's not all from different sources. It's all there. Will there be electives offered during advisory? So the electives are in the morning, and they have them twice a week, and they're music and PE. So you can see on your schedule what days you will have those. Will there be opportunities? Oh, I skipped this. What can parents do to support teachers other than help our own kids? That's a huge one, actually. So if you can do that, that's fantastic. And, you know, just keeping the line of communication open. Email for us is the best and most preferred way. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of volunteer opportunities this year because we are still in the COVID world. So we need to keep people distant from each other. Will there be opportunities for small groups, partner work, and what are the plans to help support classmates and collaborate? We're going to have partner work and working on projects, and whether that's virtually or at your comfort level, if you want to get together with a buddy that you're working with, or if you are twins and you live in the same house, then yes, maybe you should work together on the assignments because 2 brains are better than 1. It looks like in September, there's a 6th grade group that's going to start. Ms. Kellogg, you want to explain that?
Well, again, this is as noted in the document, this is a plan that's evolving, but our intention is to create some supportive learning communities of about 5 students that we would work with families so that they would have the ability to stay connected outside of Zoom meetings, whether that be exchanging some sort of phone numbers, emails, etc. And there would be a social accountability, so making social emotional accountability, so checking in on each other, making sure they're doing okay, especially if someone's not present in their Zoom class very often. And then we may give some project type work that collaboratively they would rotate the roles of being the group leader, the group recorder, etc. And just understanding, I think this would be the one thing I would say, how can parents be helpful, is this is still very new for us. And while we did have, you know, dip our toes in the spring, there are some new tools that we've been given in the past couple weeks that we're using for the first time, and just to give us some grace. And our intention is to do right by your kids, and we're doing the very best job that we can. And if mistakes are made or we stumble, just to understand that we are trying to do everything we can for things to go smoothly, and occasionally we'll run into a bump. So I would just ask if there's a problem to communicate with us, and we will try to fix it, but that we will try to implement our intentions and our programs as smoothly as we can.
Great, thank you, Colleen, or Miss Kellogg. So SEL, that's a question. You'll hear this SEL a lot. It stands for social emotional learning, and it's an important component to just if you're out of sorts or you're dysregulated, you're not able to think straight, then you're not going to learn anything. So we're really focusing on trying to get students and ourselves to be on this in the social emotional good area. So we're doing lessons with that. Ms. Mushkat, who was a 6th grade teacher last year, is now the student success coach, and she's going to be meeting once, like we talked about, with each grade level there, and during advisory meetings on Wednesdays as well. So that's what SEL stands for, and we will focus on that. It's a big part of our year. Supply list was sent out in the weekly newsletter, but if you missed it, there's a link to it here, and you can go get stuff this weekend if you need to. IDs and school pictures, we're told, I know that high schoolers got their pictures taken, and that's awesome for them, but they're also high schoolers, so they have a few more privileges than we do, I think. So we are told that school pictures will be taken in the spring as of now. We are recording this session, and all the other sessions that teachers have for their synchronous time will be recorded, and we will post those links for the students in Canvas and we'll point that to where that is for the students. And we will add the link for this session right here when we're done getting it off my computer. Parent-teacher conferences, they have not scheduled those this year, but that doesn't mean we can't conference if we need to. If you feel like there's an issue or something that you would like help with, or we feel like we need to talk with you about your student, then we will be easy to set up a Zoom meeting to discuss anything necessary there. Testing, as far as high stakes testing, we'll probably get another waiver this year for standardized state testing. Because we can't, there's no fidelity of testing locations. So if you're at home and taking a test for the state, then they don't know if your older brother is helping you or something. As far as the assignments that we give, those are going to be assessed based on just your responses. And you may use your notes, you may use the Google, but we also have the ability to know, like, if this is really your thinking or not. So that's the way we'll be assessing students. Will be through our professional judgment and understanding of the assignments and the questions we're asking the students to answer. If you missed the meet and greet, you can get the things that we handed out for you, either 6th, 7th, or 8th grade from the front office, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. So anytime during during the week, you can come on in and grab those and use them as you needed. There are cookies in there. Don't eat the cookies yet. Okay, so that is what we had for question and answers. I wonder if there are more questions now, and if there are, we'd love to answer them.
Mr. Kohler, do you want me to take over talking a little
That'd
bit?
be great. Yes.
Yeah, you just went. Thank you, Mr. Kohler. This is tough. These Zoom meetings, it's so unorganic, so it's so hard. So could you go back to just show the slide deck so we can just show the Q&A so we know what's happening, right? There we go. Now we know what's happening. So families, if you have a question, you could pop your hand up.
And I'm getting them in the chat just from just to me. So how will band work is one of the questions.
Well, Mr. Libinati is not here, which is tough. I know that he is, he teaches every single grade level, so he's figuring it out, but he's planning to do live lessons and if students can't attend, they will be recorded. It's going to be music, not band required this year. And I think he's thinking outside of the box pretty big right now because he can't do what he's normally doing. That's where we're at right now. But he's planning to have a class next week. So it's happening.
And so I think one day might be with live Zoom and the other day might not be. But when you have your class with him on Monday or Tuesday, he will explain that with the student. Here's another question. My brother ate the cookie. What do we do? I'm so sorry, she says. If you ate the cookies, that's okay. What are we going to do about that, Mr. Battison?
We'll think outside the box and we'll find something else that can replace the cookie, or it'll be okay.
Or maybe they have other cookies at their house.
Maybe they have other cookies. Yeah, it'll be fine.
What time do you recommend the kids to wake up for 8:30 classes?
Well, that's a great question. So something that we're still planning of figuring out. But last in spring, I had my students make a schedule for themselves. They know what time do I need to be ready to go for certain activities. I know I got my morning routine, and it's school starting, and we're gonna have to figure out what our routine's gonna be. I don't know what time you have to wake up, but I can recommend that you go to bed early so you can get a good night's sleep. I don't know how long time you need to get ready for 8:30, but at 8:30, it would be great if you're there ready to go and you're not brushing your teeth or you're halfway through breakfast or you're still completely asleep, because we're going to be doing some great learning straight off the bat.
Yeah, I know for me, I can't function unless I have a shower in the morning. And some people can't function unless they have coffee. So for me, it's going to take a little bit longer. Mr. Lee, you have to have some coffee.
Yeah.
So we said specials will start the day for 7th graders and 8th graders every day except for Wednesday.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Wednesday we'll start with our advisory class. Yeah, if you have questions, I guess the best way now is just to put them in the chat and we will answer them. You can also use the hand raising.
Raising the hands, yeah. And then again, we want to emphasize, we're doing a back to school before school has even started thing. So more questions about curriculum and more specific questions about classes will pop up. But right now, we just want to make sure that we can have the best possible start, because you can't just drop your kids off at school and they'll find the classroom they need to go to. So we just want to make sure that there's as few instances as possible of confusion and problems. So
if you need to leave, that's great. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we appreciate your time, and we will stay here for a few more minutes and answer questions as they come. There was one more question that was asked. It was, are kids to be on a computer during school hours 8 to 3? So that's a great question, because we don't want to have you just be vegetative in front of a computer screen all day long. So, for me in science, I'm going to give you some engineering things that you have to do and things you have to use your hands with, and then you might take pictures of them and upload them later. That's coming from me.
Yeah. I know at least from humanities perspective, we're still going to try to use as much paper and pencil work as possible to limit the screen time. I know my eyes are hurting really bad after working all day, and I want to make sure that your students aren't hurting at the end of the day. Right now, we're working really hard with the district to figure out how to get physical books into kids' hands. We will talk about digital books next week, but there's also the possibility of listening to a book, not necessarily reading it. Because reading a book on a computer screen is not ideal in the long run. So we're going to actively try to minimize the amount of computers you have to use during this digital learning time.
Clarification point, yes, you will go to Student View to find your schedule, and then based on your schedule, you'll go to Canvas, and you'll go to your first period teacher's Canvas assignment on the calendar. If you missed the Chromebook exchange, I think the office is open and available for you to come in 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Question about logins in the system the same and trying to access Dreambox and getting an error message. I don't use Dreambox, so maybe Ms. Kellogg or Ms. Al-Jaburi could answer.
I'm not positive that the new accounts for Dreambox have been loaded, the new classes. I haven't received notification of that. So if you've been trying to get into Dreambox this week, yay for you that you're excited about getting onto Dreambox. But if you're getting the error message, I would just wait and see if the district hasn't activated those accounts yet.
If you have problems with passwords or usernames and that kind of thing, the best thing for you to do would be to call the front office, and they can help you there with getting your passwords. So if you're having troubles with your login information, then the front office is the place to call for that. Who will be in your child's class? They're still working on that. They're making some final adjustments, and they will find out on Monday. The Chromebook exchange, was there a day for that, or did that already happen? I don't know.
I think that was something people could
It was,
email in. Yeah, I wasn't real clear about the exchange.
and to me, I think it's only for if your Chromebook wasn't working and to get a new one. And if you realize that your Chromebook isn't working now, then call the front office and get a new one. Because we need you to have a Chromebook.
That shouldn't stop. Like we don't want anyone to be feeling like they can't participate because their Chromebook's broken. And make sure you reach out to somebody, us first of all, if you need to, and we can help you get a new Chromebook.
It seems like we're in the dark about the Chromebook exchange, so we don't know. So we'll find out tomorrow, and we'll send out an email about that if we can. Sorry. If you have a Chromebook from last year from a different school, you can still use it. There was something about Ms. Shear sending an email earlier to this summer about new Chromebooks for all middle schoolers, and that is, I don't believe that is happening, and I'm not sure about that. If you have problems with your internet, definitely talk to the office. They have ways to help you find internet access, and because we don't want that to limit anybody at all. So we have some resources for that. You know, when in doubt, call the office, because they have some really great people working there to help. And a lot of times we don't know the answers to those things, unfortunately, but they do. Okay, so I think we appreciate your time. We're going to wrap it up here, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody on Monday morning, and we have one more day to plan and get ready, and then we're going for it. So thank you for coming. We will post this video if you want to refer back to anything that we talked over really fast, and you can fast forward through everything else. But thank you for coming.
Good to see some of the students. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, families.
Hi.
And
I will see you all on Monday.
See you Monday.
Be safe.
Bye-bye. Thank you.